At 22 years old, Jamey Marie Newport lived with her 46-year-old father, John Newport, in a mobile home in Painesville, Minnesota. Struggling with depression, Jamey had adopted several kittens to bring comfort and joy into her life. On July 23, 2019, a heated argument erupted between Jamey and John when she refused to drive him to the hardware store. The disagreement escalated as John began throwing and slamming objects around the home. When Jamey threatened to move out, a decision that angered John because she paid the bills, the situation took a terrifying turn. In a fit of rage, John began pouring gasoline throughout the house, even dousing Jamey's beloved kittens. Some of the gasoline also splashed onto Jamey herself. Panicked, she quickly called 911. While on the phone with the operator, John ignited the gasoline, sparking a deadly fire. Jamey was heard yelling that she needed to save her kittens before the call abruptly disconnected. As the fire spread rapidly, Jamey made desperate attempts to rescue the animals, but soon became trapped in the smoke-filled home. Realizing the gravity of his actions, John's anger turned to panic. He smashed a window and screamed for Jamey to escape, but by then it was too late. When officers arrived, thick black smoke billowed from the mobile home. Jamey's screams could be heard inside, and one officer tried repeatedly to fight the flames with a fire extinguisher, but the heat and smoke were too overwhelming. In a final attempt to save herself, Jamey ran into the bathroom, climbed into the bathtub, and turned on the shower in an effort to cool herself. Sadly, she would never make it out of the shower alive. Once investigators had extinguished the blaze, they found her body still in the bathtub. She had succumbed to smoke inhalation, and 4 of the 5 kittens she had cared for also perished in the fire. Investigators found a gas can inside the home and a lighter discarded on the ground outside. Adding to the damning evidence, they uncovered a Facebook post where John had expressed an intent to burn down the trailer. John, now covered in blood and soot, was arrested at the scene. He was sentenced to 18 years in prison, 3 years longer than Minnesota's sentencing guidelines, due to aggravating factors admitted in his plea agreement. He will be eligible for supervised release after serving 12 years. Jamey's tragic death remains a chilling reminder of how quickly domestic disputes can spiral into irreversible devastation. Jodi Sanderholm was born on September 26, 1987, to Brian and Cindy Sanderholm and lived her entire life in Arkansas City, Kansas. She was a bright, ambitious young woman who graduated as valedictorian of her high school class and had dreams of a promising future. At age 19, Jodi was a college freshman at Cali College, where she was a talented member of the Cali College Tigerette dance line and was deeply admired by her peers and community. On January 5, 2007, Jodi spent her day practicing a halftime routine she had choreographed for the dance team. After practice, she said goodbye to her best friend, Lori, and made plans to meet up later after going home to shower. She also planned to see her boyfriend that afternoon. However, after leaving, she was never seen alive again. Jodi lived with her parents, and her mother Cindy became concerned when she called home during her lunch break and learned Jodi hadn't arrived. Cindy called Lori, but she hadn't seen Jodi since practice. Her dance instructor didn't have any information either. When Jodi's parents returned home from work that evening and found their daughter still missing, they reported her disappearance to the police. Officers noted nothing out of place in Jodi's room, and the shower was dry, suggesting she never made it home as planned. As news of Jodi's disappearance spread, the community rallied together, searching for any sign of her. Amidst the growing concern, Lori remembered an unsettling detail. Just days earlier, she had been followed by a light blue Cadillac, and on the day of Jodi's disappearance, the same car had been parked near the gym where the dance team practiced. The car belonged to 25-year-old Justin Thurber, a local man with a reputation for stalking and harassing the girls on the dance team. Thurber was frequently seen loitering at the gym, watching their rehearsals, and his behavior was widely regarded as strange and unnerving. Later that evening, Jodi's black Dodge Stratus was found abandoned near Collie County State Fishing Lake, a remote and secluded area outside of town. Surveillance footage confirmed Jodi's car leaving the college parking lot, followed closely by Thurber's blue Cadillac. Witnesses also reported seeing his vehicle near the lake that day. After days of searching, Jodi's remains were finally found in a wooded area near the lake. The details of her death were horrifying. She had been sexually tortured and strangled multiple times. Forensic evidence and witness testimony directly linked Thurber to the crime, and he was subsequently arrested and charged with her murder. At trial, Thurber attempted to negotiate a guilty plea in exchange for removing the death penalty, but it was rejected, and the prosecution proceeded with the capital murder charge. He was convicted and sentenced to death. Despite his sentence, Kansas has not executed anyone in over 60 years, and inmates sentenced to death often spend decades in the appeals process, with many dying of old age or having their sentences reduced through plea agreements. Thurber remains on death row, but it is unlikely his death sentence will ever be carried out. In the wake of Jodi's tragic death, her community established the Jodi Sanderholm Memorial Scholarship, helping students pursue their dreams in her honor. Her memory lives on as a testament to her kindness, talent, and potential. Jodi and her mother, Sandy, shared a close bond, and when she passed in 2022, she was buried next to her daughter, ensuring they would remain together in spirit. Mary Kathleen Schlais was born on November 4, 1948, to parents Arnold and Louise Schlais. At 25, Mary lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where she pursued her passion for art. She was described as beautiful, intelligent, and full of promise. An honors graduate of the University of Minnesota with a degree in art, she was in the process of applying to graduate school. Mary also had a love for horses and horseback riding, hobbies that reflected her creative and vibrant spirit. On February 15, 1974, tragedy struck. A passerby, Denny Anderson, witnessed a man dumping a woman's body in a snowy intersection in Springbrook, Wisconsin. Authorities responded and discovered Mary's remains. She had been stabbed to death and suffered numerous defensive wounds. Mary had gone missing while hitchhiking to Chicago, Illinois to attend an art show. At the crime scene, investigators recovered a stocking cap containing hairs, which was preserved as evidence, awaiting future advancements in forensic technology. For decades, Mary's case remained unsolved, haunting her family and community. In 2009, Mary's body was exhumed to obtain DNA evidence. 2 years later, DNA testing led to Randall Woodfield, the infamous I-5 killer and a former Green Bay Packers player, as a potential suspect. Woodfield was linked to dozens of murders along Interstate 5 in the 1980s and was traveling from Portland to Green Bay at the time of Mary's murder. However, he was never charged with her death, and the case remained cold. I found this strange, but I'm assuming he was possibly with her at some point, and maybe his DNA was on her, but somehow they determined he was not responsible for her murder. In 2024, 50 years after her death, advancements in genetic genealogy finally provided answers. Investigators enlisted a team of genealogists at Ramapo College to analyze the DNA evidence from the hair found in the stocking cap. Using DNA and genetic genealogy, they were led to 84-year-old John Keith Miller. Miller, who had been adopted as a child, complicated the investigation, but detectives ultimately tracked him to his apartment in Owatonna, Minnesota. When confronted with the DNA evidence, Miller confessed to the murder. Calmly recounting the events of that night, he admitted to offering Mary a ride as she walked along the road. During the drive, he propositioned her for sex, and when she refused, he grabbed a knife from his car and fatally stabbed her in the back. Panicked, he pulled off the highway and attempted to hide her body in a snowbank. However, when another car passed by, he fled the scene, leaving behind the stocking cap that would ultimately link him to the crime. Miller was arrested on November 7, 2024, bringing long-awaited justice to Mary's family. At the time of the murder, he would have been 34 years old. His arrest marked the resolution of a case that had gone unsolved for half a century, demonstrating the power of modern forensic science to uncover the truth and bring closure to cold cases. Advances in technology and the persistence of investigators ensured that her story would not be forgotten and her killer would finally be held accountable. Tristan Hope Dilley was born on October 3, 2002. At age 14, she lived in Boone, Texas, and was a freshman at Silsbee High School. Tristan was described as a positive and charismatic young girl whose contagious personality and love for cheerleading brightened the lives of those around her. On August 25, 2017, Hurricane Harvey struck the Texas coast. Amid the disaster, Tristan saw a Facebook post about a family stranded in floodwaters. Determined to help, she contacted a friend with a boat and arranged for the family to be rescued. This act of kindness led to Tristan meeting 19-year-old Paul Audrey Adams. The pair then began a secret relationship, lying to her parents about his age, claiming he was 16, and introducing him as Adam. On October 1, 2017, just 2 days before her 15th birthday, Tristan's 13-year-old brother discovered a horrifying scene. Tristan was lying in her blood-soaked bed, unresponsive. He screamed for their mother, who performed CPR in a desperate attempt to save her daughter, but it was too late. Tristan had been shot twice in the head. Detectives found no signs of a struggle, suggesting she knew her killer and was caught off guard. After ruling out family members, investigators focused on Tristan's recent contacts. Further investigation eventually led them to Adams, who lived in Vidor, Texas. When officers visited his home, Adams was gone, but one of the investigators was able to reach him by phone. Adams, now crying and upset, admitted he had a relationship with Tristan and had been at her house at the time of her murder, but denied involvement in her death. Further investigation revealed that the night before her murder, Tristan had cheered at a school football game, attended a homecoming dance, and spent the night at a friend's house. According to the friend, Tristan mentioned wanting to meet up with someone and later spoke on the phone with a man the friend didn't recognize. The morning of her death, Tristan returned home, and detectives uncovered troubling text messages on her phone. At 2:52 p.m., hours before she was found dead, Tristan texted someone saved as Adam saying, "They haven't left yet." Minutes later, she received a reply, "I'm leaving right now and on my way." Tristan then updated the person texting, "They just left." Adam's involvement in the murder quickly became a focus for investigators. During a phone interview, he claimed he witnessed Tristan's death but was not the perpetrator. According to Adams, an older white man with a beard broke into the house and shot Tristan while Adams hid in the shower. He said he fled the house out of fear. However, there were no signs of a break-in, and his story was very inconsistent. The next day, police tracked Adams to a campsite near Vidor. As they approached, Adams took his own life with the same .22 caliber Magnum revolver used to kill Tristan. Beside him, authorities found an 8-page letter detailing his fear that the police wouldn't believe his story. The letter did not provide a clear motive, but painted a troubling picture of his mental state. Further investigation revealed chilling details about Adams' actions leading up to Tristan's murder. Phone records showed the two had been secretly meeting for weeks. Security footage from a Vidor Walmart showed Adams purchasing a hatchet, rope, camouflage burlap sacks, 8 pairs of handcuffs, and other items, including 30 and 40-pound dumbbells. These items were later found in his vehicle, raising suspicions that he may have been planning additional crimes. Some speculate that Adams intended to become a serial killer and that Tristan may have been his first victim. However, the actual motive remains unknown. Tristan's tragic death remains a devastating loss for her family, friends, and community. Her story serves as a grim reminder of the dangers of secrecy and manipulation, highlighting the importance of vigilance and awareness in protecting vulnerable young people. Today, we're revisiting a case that has haunted the small community of Nucla, Colorado for 25 long years. This is the story of Dale Dwayne Williams, born on July 15, 1956. By 1999, Dale was 42 years old, a devoted family man who had been married to his high school sweetheart, Diana, for 23 years. Together, they had 2 daughters and were pillars of their tight-knit town. Dale owned and operated Dale's Pro Body Shop and co-managed Showtime movie rentals with Diana. He was known for being compassionate, well-liked, and family-oriented, traits that made what happened next all the more shocking. On May 27, 1999, Dale received a call at his body shop. It was an unusual request for roadside help. The caller mentioned that they didn't need a tow truck, just a minor assist, possibly a jump start. This raised questions because Dale's shop specialized in bodywork, not mechanical repairs. Still, Dale's helpful nature got the better of him. He assured his coworker he'd be back shortly, took his work truck, and drove off. That day, Dale left for what seemed like a quick errand, but never returned. 6 weeks of anguish and unanswered questions passed. Then, on July 4, 1999, a family celebrating Independence Day at a local swimming hole near the confluence of the San Miguel and Dolores Rivers made a chilling discovery. A boy's fishing line snagged on something submerged, Dale's pickup truck. Muddy and partially submerged, the truck was found with the ignition in the on position and the window halfway down. It looked as if someone had deliberately driven it into the water, but there was no trace of Dale. The area where the truck was found was secluded and known mostly to locals. The mystery deepened when some of Dale's tools were found on the side of the road, opposite from where the truck was recovered. However, investigators believe this could have been an attempt to mislead the investigation. There were strange occurrences in the months leading up to Dale's disappearance. One particularly troubling situation involved Dale's friend, James Daniel Bishop. Bishop had a history of being abusive toward his wife, who eventually confided in Dale and Diana. With their help, she fled to Texas to escape the tumultuous relationship. When Bishop demanded to know where his wife had gone, Dale refused to reveal her location, sparking Bishop's anger. Not long after Dale disappeared, torn photographs of him and the Bishop family were found outside Dale's Pro Body Shop, along with .22 caliber bullets scattered nearby. Weeks later, Diana discovered Dale's .22 caliber revolver in the night drop box of their video store. Authorities believed someone had broken into Dale's business and stole both the photos and the gun. While Bishop was questioned, he denied involvement and had what appeared to be an alibi. For years, Dale's case was stuck in limbo until October 17, 2024, when 68-year-old Bishop was arrested at his home in Naturita, Colorado, on suspicion of first-degree murder. He was held on a $1 million bond. Investigators now believe that Bishop may not have acted alone. The evidence that led to his arrest included a .22 caliber Marlin rifle found in the bed of Dale's truck. A spent shell casing was still in the chamber, and records showed that Bishop had purchased the rifle from a local hardware store a few years before Dale's disappearance. According to the affidavit, Bishop's cousin, Veldon Barnes, who went by Bones and is now deceased, played a crucial role in the plan. Investigators alleged that Barnes' girlfriend, Debbie Lacey, who went by Happy, called Dale's shop under the guise of needing assistance with a stranded car. This call is what lured Dale out on that fateful day. In exchange for his help, Bishop reportedly gifted his prized Corvette to his cousin as a token of appreciation. Even with this new break in the case, Dale's body has never been found, and there are still many unanswered questions. Bishop remains innocent until proven guilty, but the hope is that his arrest will finally lead to closure for Dale's family and loved ones. Dale Williams stood 5 feet 7 inches tall, with graying sandy brown hair, blue eyes, and a beard. He had distinctive scars under his chin and on his jawbone, along with a birthmark under his left jaw. The day he disappeared, he was wearing a dark blue t-shirt and blue jeans. Dale went missing on May 27, 1999, and as of November 2024, he has never been found.